Good morning. Let's get TikTok on. Good morning, everybody. Today is a very interesting day. One thing is that today is Women's Day, so all my lovely ladies, I wish you happy Women's Day. And today was the change of time. I hope you realized it, and that's why it's kind of feels kind of strange because it feels like it's one we are 1 hour back. Thank you. Anyways, today I want to talk to you about midlife crisis. Now, and I'm very optimistic, so I'm not going to tell you, oh, that's it, give up. But I think everybody should know what to expect. And to tell you the truth, midlife crisis is time when particular planets making particular aspects to our natal planets. We go through it, like every generation goes through this. So it's not like not everybody gets it, everybody has it. It just everybody reacts and acts on those on in those times differently, and I'm going to explain you why. So I also wanted to talk about this because I kind of go through it right now, and I didn't know what it was. I mean, I knew that there was something off, that I wanted to change certain things. I just didn't know why it was like this and why it was right now. Until maybe like half a year ago, I listened to this video from an astrologer, and she was talking about this, and so I decided to share it as well. So it was my idea, but with the help first, and then with kind of I researched a little more because her video was very short, and I wanted to kind of to get deeper into that. So this is what we're going to talk about this now. I want to tell you though, in life we go through this crisis. I wouldn't even call them crisis, but this kind of like the breaking point all the time. It just why so much talk about midlife crisis is because when let's say a teenager is acting weird, it's okay. When a person who is older is acting weird, it's also, they say, oh, that's the age. But when a person who is healthy, let's say wealthy, accomplished, start acting weird, we always kind of start questioning their sanity. So that's why midlife crisis is important. Now, what I wanted to tell you that through all those crises, all those breaking points, we need to come out learning something. So we need to make some kind of changes because that difficulties come out not just because. So there is a reason why we experiencing some kind of heaviness, some kind of I cannot stand this no more. I need to change something. There is a reason for that, and we need to go through it and change. We could not just ignore it. So, anyways, this is what we're going to talk today about. I will tell you what are those planets, when to expect it, and what to do when it will get to you. So, and I will put over here. We always we need occasional crises because through them we develop. We develop when we're not in comfort, when it's hard. When you're like, I don't know how to do this, like, or like, I could not, I need to change something. Only then we develop. When we're in comfort, we hardly ever develop. We just live and enjoy, and that's it. Now, midlife crisis is connected to three social planets: Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune. And you would say, well, why would we care about social planets? They don't affect us that much. Yes, that's true. But when they affect us on a bigger kind of scale. You see, when Mars is doing square to my natal Mars, I mean, yeah, I'm uncomfortable for a couple days, maybe 2-3 days, but that's it. So maybe for 2-3 days, I want to do something, I want to change something, but that's it for the most part. I really don't care much after those 3 days. And now, for example, if Venus is making square to, let's say, my natal Uranus, the same thing. So it's 1-2 days because the personal planets move so fast, they don't really affect us that much for that long. So they don't hit the same hurting point again and again and again. Now, when the social planets hit the same hurting point for, let's say, a couple of years, whether you want it or not, you will have to change. Now, these planets, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune, are very slow-moving planets. So they will be hitting the same aspect of your natal chart again and again and again. And whether you want it or not, you could not ignore it. You will have to change something. So, for example, Pluto stays in one sign for let's say 16, 20 years. It's going to be in Aquarius for almost 20 years. It was before that in Capricorn for 16 years. So you see, it stays so long in one sign that if you have something, some planets, let's say in Scorpio, like we all probably, my generation at least, have Pluto in Scorpio, it will be hitting that Pluto squaring for a few years. And whether you want it or not, you will have to change, because 2 days, okay, being uncomfortable for 2 days, that's fine. But being uncomfortable for 3 years, I mean, you will have to change certain things. That's why it becomes a crisis, because you could not tolerate that pain for that long, that inner pain. Anyway, so this is what it is. So it's usually Pluto squaring your natal Pluto. Because Pluto moves so slowly, so you need to look at where your Pluto is, and it's either Libra if you're older than me, Scorpio if you're approximately my age, and Sagittarius if you are younger. Well, I guess the Capricornians are still too young to even listen to this. So. And basically, how do you know it's square? It forms a 90-degree angle, So like my Pluto in Scorpio is around third degree, and Pluto in Aquarius right now is in the third degree as well. So it's forming exact 90-degree angle to my natal Pluto. Now, the same as Neptune. So then transiting Neptune forms the exact square to my natal Neptune. Or yours, so it's exactly 90 degrees. And usually with Uranus, it's the opposition. So transiting Uranus forms full opposition to your natal one. Now, you need to take in consideration 2 or 3 degrees before and 3 degrees after. So, for example, if your Uranus is in the 15 degrees of, let's say, Scorpio, and so Uranus in Taurus, already 13 degrees will be influencing you. Already will feel a little discomfort, and then maybe 2 degrees after, you will also feel that as well. So you need to take like a few degrees here and there, but the exact opposition will be the one that will really will push you to do something. So this is what you need to look into. But so all of this positions could happen in the same years or different years, but usually it happens in the 40s. So for everybody, it usually happens in the 40s. Now, like for example, my Pluto and my Neptune are squaring me at the same time. Uranus will be later in a few years. So we'll see what will happen, but usually it's in the 40s. You need to look at your natal chart and see. You can even Google, when will Pluto be in this particular degree of, I don't know, depends where it is. So like that. Now, it could, as I said, it could last a few years. It could last shortly. Now, this is not though. So your midlife crisis could be really bad or really good, depending on how you went through crises that were before, and those are Saturn return. This usually happen between the ages of 28 and 30. So this is when you have to mature. Saturn is basically, so before that time, before Saturn return, you're still a child. You're not responsible kind of for your choices. You feel very light. You feel very optimistic. Once you get your Saturn return, the person becomes mature. Now you're responsible for the actions that you did, for the actions that you took while you were younger. So this is the time of maturity, kind of. And a lot of people have hard time with that because they feel like suddenly one day they're super optimistic and happy, and then the next day they wake up and they're like, I need to make decisions. I need to change my life. I need to do this and that. So this is when you Saturn return. Ideally, you should be by this time already on the right kind of path in your life. And this would help you in the next kind of through next crises. If you make the right choice in that time, you will see how much smoother your life will go. But if you didn't, then, for example, you didn't get any kind of education, and instead of going and getting education, you start blaming everybody for not getting you that education. So this is morning, Helena. So this is important. So the first of all these crises is the Saturn return, usually around 28, 30 years old. Now, then after that, you have the change of nodes. This happens when you between the ages of 36 and 38. This is when the nodes in our lives change. This is time of crisis. I wouldn't lie. So we are all born with the south node. So south node is something we're coming with, and north node is something that we need to grow into. So this is something that, so we're going away from the south node and coming into north node. So we need to implement. So for example, if your let's say if your south node is in Libra and your north node is in Aries, so south node in Libra, you basically counting on others, more like kind of a group teamwork. If you need to solve a kind of something, you're going to talk to your friends, you're going to discuss, you're trying to please everybody to keep the team going. Now, but between the ages of 36 and 38, you would need to transition into focusing on yourself more, to taking responsibility more, of being kind of a leader instead of a team kind of builder. And this is a very crucial time, because if you took the wrong turn here and you will refuse to move towards your north node in your life, this is when your midlife crisis will be really brutal. You see why? Because we come here to develop, not just to sit. So we're given the tools, so you know where your north node is, you know where you need to move. So if you are not moving in that direction, you're basically ignoring your own development, your own expansion. And if you are ignoring, then why are you here? What's the point? So we are not here to to just to live. We're here to develop through living in this existence. And in this time, 36, 38 years old, a lot of people make mistakes, turn around somewhere where they shouldn't. And if you notice, a lot of people live this existence in this time. Like, for example, my father passed away when he was 37. So again, maybe he didn't take a right turn in his life or something, I'm not sure. But Princess Diana also the same thing. She left the existence in the same time. So you need to make sure that you move towards the, actually have a few acquaintances that also made the wrong turn during this time. So you need to make sure that you start transitioning yourself. Like me, I started transitioning. I did make a couple wrong turns, though, I wouldn't lie. And I realized them a little later. So you will ask me, Anastasia, well, how do I know whether I make a right turn or not? You will notice, because your life will start, your level of your lifestyle will start becoming worse if you're making wrong turn. So maybe you will start making less money, or maybe you're less happy, your health deteriorating really fast. You will see, you will notice. It's like that. Or maybe you were always you could afford so much before, and now you couldn't really afford that. And it's not because you just bought a house or you have a huge savings account. It's just really because the income is not there. So you will know. Now, you will not know it right away. It takes time. It takes a couple of years for you to find out. I actually have a friend. She's a little older than me, like a few years, and I was observing her, and I couldn't understand why a super successful woman suddenly became not successful. So she was still okay, but it was not where she was. And only I started studying the kind of the planets and the influence of them and the nodes and everything. Only then I realized that she did a couple turns wrong. And I spoke to her about this. I'm not sure, I spoke. She's in New York, so it's not like we see each other all the time. But I spoke to her. I'm not sure whether she will make the changes, but at least I gave her some kind of ideas. So this is very important. Now, if you make a wrong turn, Um, During those years of changing the nodes, your midlife crisis will be brutal. Brutal and very, very hard, because you're already moving in the wrong direction. And the midlife crisis will want you to change that, and change right now and very fast. And it will not get off your back until you will change. You see, especially when it's Pluto squaring Pluto. Pluto is not a planet to negotiate with. So again, just to sum it up, around 27-30, you become mature. Suddenly, you're reaping the rewards that you from the actions that you took while you were young. You know, like for example, if you're partying the whole your whole 20s, then maybe you suddenly will start feeling the toll on your house. You know, if you were studying, building career throughout your 20s, then you probably will get some kind of promotion. So it doesn't have to be something like this. This is extremes that I'm telling you, but overall. Now, then when you are 36, 38, you need to make sure that you're transitioning into your north node direction. The nodes are always opposite. So if, for example, I have south node in Cancer, then my north node will be in Capricorn. Mine are not. Mine is Scorpio, Taurus. But still, and you need to look into what those planets and those positions represent. This is important. So once you do those two, once the 36, 38 year like kind of passed, right? You transition in your 40s, and in your 40s you will have like an ultimate check whether you're moving right or wrong in your life. And you will have this midlife crisis. You will have these three planets that will kind of test whether you made the right decision or not, whether you did. And if you didn't, they will help you to transition if you will not fight them. Like when Pluto will be squaring your Pluto, your natal Pluto, Pluto will destroy everything and build something new. So it will not even destroy. Pluto is not a destroyer. Pluto is basically just build something new on something that didn't really work for you, like that. And Pluto is not going to negotiate with you. So let's go through all of them. So I put over here, around 40 years old, Pluto will start squaring your natal Pluto. So transiting Pluto, everybody who has Pluto in the beginning of Scorpio right now, who were born with Pluto like that, you are having right now your Pluto, transiting Pluto squaring your natal Pluto. Now, Pluto is the full transformation. Pluto is a very serious planet. It's not, you could not negotiate with Pluto. Remember how I told you, Saturn is the planet that's like a strict teacher, a strict parent. Saturn, you can negotiate with Saturn, you know, it's strict, but you can still, Saturn cares for you. Pluto doesn't care for you, see? Pluto is the planet of transformation. You're supposed to be developing. If you're not developing, then I'm going to develop for you, and you're going to take it. And if you will not survive, I mean, that's it. I don't really care. Pluto is like a big corporation, you know, it will move forward whether you want it or not. So it's better if you will move with it instead of fighting it. So if suddenly you feel like nothing is working, you know, like there's dissatisfaction, like you feel like everything needs to be changed, then this is what Pluto is doing to you right now. Now, I want to tell you that, lucky for us, we have a strong placement of Pluto. Pluto in Scorpio is really strong because it's its home. I'm telling you, this is a Scorpio stellium person myself. So for Pluto, Scorpio is a really strong placement. For somebody who has Pluto in Libra, that's not a very strong placement. And those people, they probably felt like something has to change, but they didn't know how to change because of the Pluto was not strong enough. So it was like, has to change, but I don't know how to change. Now, on the other hand, this Pluto in Scorpio is not going to just bother you. It's going to change. Now, you just need to make sure that you are not that you're going with the change instead of fighting the change. You know, and I'm telling you this as a person who goes through the square of the Pluto right now. Now, anything that doesn't work will be changed without any regard to you. And make sure you're on the same page as Pluto. So this is something that will be changed. I can tell you from my experience, you know, and I will tell you that I have friends who went through this Pluto kind of Pluto square. Um, they were they were just basically changing their lives. Somebody would just sell their house or buy a new house. Finally, like they were just fed up with renting. They just bought a house, or somebody just changed jobs. Like depending where Pluto is in your natal chart. My Pluto is in the fifth house. So that's the house of creation, pleasure, children, flirting. And I will tell you, I changed so much concerning like when it came to all these aspects. Now, if your Pluto is, for example, in 10th house, the house of career status, suddenly you will probably decide, okay, that's it, I'm changing the career, or I need to get promoted. I'm going to put an ultimatum. If I'm not promoted, I'm going to get out of this place. So look at where the Pluto is in your house. This is important. Or 11th house, the house of kind of social representation, of reputation. Maybe suddenly you will decide that I'm going to change something about that. Like it will have to change according to your North Node. You see, so like I could tell you, my North Node is in Taurus. That means that I basically have to count on myself for security instead of others. Like because Scorpio is money, but it's somebody's money. Taurus is their money. Like this. So the same was basically with pleasure. Instead of me counting on others, I have to find my own pleasure, my own creation, my own, stuff like that. So this is something to keep in mind. So Pluto is going to transform your life, and if you are going to fight it, you're going to lose, because Pluto is not the planet to kind of to negotiate with. All right, so I think Pluto is pretty understood. You will feel the Pluto. You see, Pluto is not. You just wake up one day and you will be like, okay, I can't live like this no more. Something has to change. Like this. Basically, this is what was for me. And I always thought that it was maybe because of particular circumstances that I had in my life, that I just could not stand them no more. Like I needed to change it. But it was the square, because I have it for like a couple of years already. I also was blaming it on traveling, that maybe because I'm traveling, I'm changing my perception of. No, it was not. Again, it was because Pluto had enough. Maybe I was traveling because Pluto had enough. Now, the next one that I want to talk is Neptune squaring your natal Neptune. And I will tell you, this is Neptune is a very kind of quiet planet. It really doesn't. You don't feel it's move. When Mars squaring your natal Mars, you feel like angry. You want to do actions. You want to fight. But when natal Neptune is squaring transit Neptune, you don't feel it like that. But you will feel it a little different. And I will tell you how it is. So when Neptune is squaring your natal Neptune, it was mine. Just get out of this square, thankfully. You are losing all kind of. It's an absolute dissolving of illusion. So you are losing and changing your perception of the world, perception of yourself in the world, your beliefs, your kind of your hopes. It's like everything you believed in, you feel like falling apart. Like I will tell you, I am a vegetarian since I was little. Nobody pushed me to become vegetarian. I was vegetarian since I was like 8 or 9 years old. So I fought my parents so much for not eating meat. So it took me like it's my real choice. Since I was a little child, I never wanted to eat meat. I never craved meat. I never really was looking into meat. Like it's just meat and me, we don't exist in the same reality. Like, yeah, it's somewhere parallel because obviously I have a family who eat meat. Man I dated meat, my friends, so it exists, but never really in my reality. It's like meat and me are never even in the same apartment, so to say. But a couple years ago, not even couple, I think like a year and a half ago, I suddenly thought to myself, maybe I should start eating meat. I don't know where it came from. I was entertaining this thought for a couple of months and then disappeared again. So you see, when Neptune is squaring your natal Neptune, it's like uh, your perception of the world and you and everything you believe in start falling apart. You start doubting everything, like I was doubting the choice that I made when I was a child, and I was always faithful to that choice, not because it's not like I was forcing myself, when I don't eat croissants, I'm forcing myself not to eat croissants. But with meat, it never was like this. But I started doubting even that, like you would say, solid choice. And you see, because it was a solid choice, I doubted it for a little bit, and then I went back to kind of living. Right now, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, where would I even get this idea from? But if it wouldn't be a solid choice, who knows? Maybe I would start eating meat. I mean, I have nothing against meat. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to show you the example of how it is. So anyways, this is the Neptune. Neptune is, it's like this quiet doubts that creeping inside, and then just start kind of, are you sure? Are you? Yes, maybe, no. And because Neptune also moves slowly, it's not like a one day thing. You're going to have it for a couple of years or so. For me, it was a little harder because I also have Moon in the same degree, in a square to my natal Neptune. So it was hitting my Moon bad. This is my soul. So I was having like crazy dreams. I would wake up. I was always worried, anxious. You can have that too, but maybe not to that degree. But you will have some kind of dreams. The dreams that would be like almost too vivid, too obvious, and you will start doubting everything you believe, everything you everything you could count on. You start doubting your words. You start doubting what you were taught when you were a child. You start doubting the religion. I knew a couple of people who at this time, they basically became either very spiritual or vice versa, like absolutely just stop going, to the church and stop like believing in anything. So it could be like that. You stood like if you believe maybe in absolute love, you would start doubting that. So a lot of things, like your perception will start crumbling, and unless you have a strong belief into this, like me for example, you see, I'm a Reiki master. I strongly believe in that. This is a solid kind of idea. I believe in energy. I believe in the working with energy. Maybe because I saw the phantoms of people. I work with so many people. That was a solid idea. Even when the doubts were creeping in, I still like no. I have like like proof. It's not like so. Those ideas stayed, but there are a lot of ideas that fall off during this time. The ideas that I didn't believe no more. That was that were like haunting me for so long that right now I basically like, okay, that's fine. I really don't care. So this is what Neptune does. Neptune really, it's basically like start, it's like putting water under your foundation, under your roots. You become not stable, not sure about anything. And this is important. You see, some people don't pay attention to this, but this is where the midlife crisis starts with Neptune. Neptune square in Neptune. When you stop believing everything, like you always believe that you have to have a family and kids, and now suddenly you're like, well, why I'm supposed to have family and kids? Maybe I don't really need to have family and kids, especially if Neptune is in your house of relationship. Like my Neptune, for example, in the sixth house of health, house of routine. And trust me, I changed so much about my routine, especially, like I always thought that you need to be a hard worker, you need to do so much. And now I realize, no, you don't really need to. So again, you see, but if my Neptune would be in the house of the relationship, maybe I would start doubting the relationship, the relationship with significant others, with or maybe if I would have Neptune in, let's say, in the second house, I would start thinking. So second house, the house of resources, of money, of personal money. Maybe I would start kind of changing my perception about money and about what money gives me, and what I'm supposed to do with that. So this is important. Observe where Neptune is in your house. It's very, very important. Now if Neptune is in your 12th house, be mindful, because this is the house of your kind of your inner psychic, right? You might start doubting yourself fully and completely. If it's in your first house, you will start kind of thinking about your appearance, maybe not understanding why you look like this, or maybe you would want to change something or something like that. So observe which house. but do not miss on Neptune. You see, this was my mistake. I missed on Neptune. I didn't really pay attention much to Neptune because I always thought, this is just a planet of illusion, this and that, like really doesn't matter. But that's where it's all started. I felt very uneasy, very kind of almost agitated, like this, like I was somewhat anxious, and I started doubting. And these doubts were the ones that pushed me to changes. When the Pluto, the thing is that they almost were in the same time. So I guess I started having my thoughts were changing, and my life started changing with them. So again, observe. This is important, because if Neptune will make you unstable, it will be hard to change in like it will be hard to change in a solid kind of form. You see, you will want to start to change here and there, but it won't be just because it's good for you, because you feel like you need to do something, and that's not how you need to change. All right, so this is Neptune. I hope I made it clear. Again, observe where Neptune right now is in Aries, just move. So if you have Neptune in the beginning of Capricorn, this is your Neptune. Neptune is squaring your natal Neptune. So watch it, observe it. It's important. All right, so this was about the next. I put over here. You will have wild dreams. Only a lot of things will fall off. Only strong beliefs will stay. You will have confusion about life, direction, and beliefs. All right, so the third one, and I didn't have this yet, it's the Uranus. So Uranus is the planet of sudden change. Uranus is like a crazy teenager. Came in, broke everything, and ran away. So when Pluto comes and fixed everything and changes your life fully and completely without you participating or not participating, Pluto is going to do it. Uranus will just destroy what doesn't work any longer. So, for example, if your Uranus is in the relationship, this is what happens for a lot of people. They suddenly get divorced, or they suddenly start working out, or they suddenly change their appearance. This is what happens when the Uranus comes into a particular house. So if my Uranus would be in the seventh house, a house of the relationship, who knows? Maybe I would suddenly get married and settle down, or maybe, or if my Uranus would be in the, let's say, in the ninth house, is the house of traveling. Maybe I would start traveling, or I would decide to pursue education or something, so like that. So it's sudden change in that particular area. Now, my Uranus is in the sixth house, so I assume that would be something with the routine, with the health, something like that, something that I would change. Who knows? Maybe I will stop eating sugar altogether, or I don't know, or maybe I would make my peace with everything and will just start eating everything. Again, I don't have my Uranus return yet. It will be in a few years. So, not Uranus return, sorry. Uranus opposition, my Uranus. So, but it will happen. And again, Uranus moves faster than the other two planets, but still it will take, at least year and a half for that change to settle down. When I'm thinking about Uranus opposite Uranus, I'm thinking about that movie. I don't remember what it's called. Okay, next time I'll remember and I'll tell you. But it's when you live your life and it seems like everything is good, and then suddenly you hop and you just change everything. So this is Uranus. It's the best. Now I put over here Uranus can be, the opposition could be seriously dramatic. Uranus is awakening. Yeah. This is time when people start acting not like themselves out of the sudden. Uranus is a sudden change. So whatever was fragile, it will be ruined completely for something else to be built on that spot. So Uranus doesn't really build. Uranus just destroys something unhealthy that is in your life right now that doesn't follow that North Node kind of path. And who knows, you might start doing something in the opposite direction. So for example, you always, let's say, have a family woman or a family man, and suddenly you're like, fuck that, I'm going to be dating now. I'm going to be single, and I will just 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 have flings. That's it. I'm not doing it no more. And there is a lot of people who do that actually. Or you were always like career focused, you were always working so kind of hard towards your career, and then suddenly you're like, no, no, I'm done, that's it. I'm going to freelance. I'm going to travel the world with my backpack and freelance, and this is this happened when I basically, when Uranus was hitting my North Node, and I made this kind of changes. So anyways, what I want to say is that do not be afraid of these changes. Do not look at yourself as something weird. This it happens in everybody's life. Planets like this, it's not like we can avoid it. It happens to everybody. It's just some people act it out, so everybody sees, and some just inside they're brewing and brewing until it kind of comes out. So again, also depends on the house. Like for example, if as I said, if my Uranus is in there, in my routine kind of health house, so okay, so maybe my sudden changes will be eating meat. Who knows? I don't know what will it be. But or maybe I will decide, okay, from now on I'm waking up at 5 a.m. and I'm going for a run early morning instead of going like in the like later on in the day. So nobody will notice something like that. But if my Uranus would be in something like, I don't know, like a relationship, and suddenly I'm changing my relationship fully and completely, and people will notice that. So again, observe which house it is. But Uranus is something that will change. You could not fight Uranus, and no, not like this. You could not, don't stay on the way. Like if Uranus wants to change something, don't hold to the old. That means that it's already outlived. So observe. If it's if Uranus opposing your natal Uranus, and something is just falling apart, let it fall apart. Let it. Do not hold on to it, because that just means it doesn't follow your bigger picture of you supposed to be kind of moving in a different direction. So then, but you will have to rebuild it. I mean, somehow. And especially like with me, Pluto right now is changing my life, and then I will have to change it myself, I guess, once Uranus will remove everything else. Now, if you are moving in the right direction and everything is good in your life, Uranus will not change nothing. It will maybe shake you a little bit, but it will not change nothing. Nothing will be ruined. You see, it does not have to be fully destroyed. If it's solid something, like my belief in being vegetarian, right? If it like maybe Uranus will kind of shake me again a little bit, but it will stay. It will stay because I firmly believe in that. I mean, I'm not forcing myself. I just, it has nothing to do with my life, really, with my life choices. So, if like, for example, if you Uranus in the relationship house, and you believe that, oh my God, now what? I'm going to get divorced or something. No, maybe if your relationship goes with your North Node kind of direction, chances are very high that, yeah, maybe there would be a little shakeups, but for the most part you will come out of it much stronger with your partner. So do not look at everything like it's not. Remember, this midlife crisis is not bad. It's never bad. It's always good. It just sometimes we don't have enough power or energy to change something for ourselves. And then when especially if you are not very decisive, if you don't have too many masculine planets, and then when this kind of when this planet starts squaring and opposing your natal planets, you basically, it's like you have an extra power and extra force to change that for finally. So again, do not be afraid of changes. Be afraid that you won't be able to change it, then you will regret all the time. Like I will give you an example. Long before I knew about midlife crisis and everything, I had a friend. We were very young still, we were like teenagers. And so she had this aunt, and she was in a very unhappy marriage. And I guess because I was kind of calculating, she was in her 40s at that time. So she was in a very unhappy marriage. And she had this opportunity. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but there was an opportunity where she could have got out of that marriage very like perfectly, and he would be left not with nothing, and she would be the government would have helped her, so everything would be perfect if she could. It was lasting for maybe half a year or so. I remember because we were friends, and my friend was telling me this. but she didn't. You see, she didn't change when she was supposed to change, and her life. I mean, they started having even more problems, and her health started declining. So again, but she had an opportunity. Why didn't she took that opportunity? It was, but she was holding on to the old, and decided to stay with that man. So again, changes are important. These are not the only changes. Then you will have 5860, also a little crisis, because Saturn returning second time. Then you will have later on in life. So you will, it's like this. These break points, they're coming again and again. You just need to be open to them and learn some kind of lessons. You see, if some pain point is coming out and you need to change it, do not ignore it, change it. It's obviously coming out for a reason, especially if it comes out again and again and again, and you're still sitting there and you're like, no, I think it's just me, I think it will pass. How is it going to pass if you're not changing nothing? So you need to start thinking about yourself. All right. So a few things to remember. When this is happening. Observe which planets, these three planets are in your natal chart. These are the areas that will be transforming, and the particular planets that are sitting close by. So, for example, my Uranus and Venus conjunct, so they're sitting very close to each other. Now, I assume when my Uranus will be opposing natal Uranus, my Venus will also get some kind of something. That means, so Venus is responsible for our beauty, for love, for personal money, how I receive money. So who knows, maybe there would be some kind of changes in that area. I am not very committal, right? But who knows, maybe at that time I'll decide, that's it. I'm getting married. I'm living with the guy. That's it. I decide to commit. I don't know, what it's going to be, but could be that. Like, for example, so because Uranus is always usually the opposite of what you are right now. So I'm thinking now, if you would have, let's say, if your Pluto is squaring the transit Pluto, and you have, like, let's say, Mars next to your Pluto, would be crazy. But that Pluto will be hitting your Mars as well, and this is kind of actions, you would be like jumping on doing actions right away. So observe those planets. So observe which houses your natal planets are. These are the houses that will be transformed. Again, let me just repeat really fast. So the first house, the house of self. So you probably will be transforming how you look, how you think about yourself, self-love, how you present yourself to the world. The second house, the house of resources, personal money. So how you make money, how you receive money, what you think about money. So this would be transformed. The third house, the house of close connections, friends, closest acquaintances, siblings. This will be transformed. If you have plans there, this would be transformed for you. So fourth house, the house of your home, your parents, so your roots, this would be transformed. So if you have Uranus, like, let's say, no, I knew actually somebody, they sold the house out of nowhere. So the husband just came one day, let's sell the house, we don't need this house no more, let's move. So this is what they did. I don't know about the wife's kind of natal chart, but the husband had Uranus in his fourth house, and they sold the house, they moved abroad. This is what happened. As I said, it doesn't have to be bad. It's actually good. They're very happy there. Now, so this is the fourth house. Fifth house, the house of children, house of creation, house of pleasure, flirtations. Like me, Pluto right now squaring me in my fifth house. My flirting, is completely changed. Like I don't flirt as much. I don't see pleasure in it anymore. Like I see pleasure in something more, like in substance. Pluto is really strict like that. So I guess I don't flirt just because. But who knows? It might change, or I don't know. But right now, I'm happy with where I'm standing. Now, the sixth house, the house of health, house of routine, So maybe you will look through that and decide that you don't need to be maybe as crazy about your routines, something, if there are planets. So these planets are in that. And seventh house of relationships. So if any of these planets are in your relationship, then you will have some kind of changes there. Eighth house is the house of investments, somebody else shared resources. So for example, maybe you live with the husband and he never gave you $1, and suddenly now you're like, let's say Pluto is in your eighth house, and suddenly you're like, okay, I could not live like this. So you talk to your husband, you're like, it's either you're giving me money or I'm going to get a job. Actually, I had somebody like this, wife of my client, she did that. And he increased her allowance, but she also went and she got a job. And it was very strange for that family, but she did. And 2 years after she quit, and he started giving her more money. Anyways, this is so the ninth house, the house of learning something new, of traveling, so something like that. The 10th house, the house of career status. Maybe suddenly you will decide that this career doesn't work for you, or you want to change some kind of status. The 11th house, the house of the presence of you in society, your reputation. And the 12th house is basically your inner self. You will dig deeper into yourself. Like my Uranus natal one will be in the 6th house, and the transiting was in the 12th house. So I guess I will have to work with those two. All right, so this is it. So look at that. Then you remember this. If you will go, every time you go through a particular crisis, and I don't mean it as in a bad way, your life will become better. You just need to come out of it strongly. You just need to make sure that you follow the flow. That you are not just holding on to the old. You go with the new. You will see your life will become better. Even I told you in the beginning that during my 36, 38, I made couple wrong turns. I realized it later on, and I changed them. You need to change those wrong turns at once. Like you could not hold on to the old one, because the old one will not work. Now once I change those turns, I start my life start becoming, well, I never really had this kind of like um thankfully my changes were not that then drastic, right? But I realized that I become calmer, um like much better. Like I feel like I'm on the right path. I feel like I'm going in the right direction. It's very important. You will feel it. So don't be afraid of changes. They must happen. We develop, so changes will happen whether you want it or not. They will happen. Make sure that you are following the changes, though. Do not and I'll even put here, do not fight, never fight Pluto. Be cautious with Uranus, because Uranus can give like sudden changes, like crazy changes. And some people who have a lot of masculine energy, Uranus can really push them to do something crazy, to do some kind of crazy stuff in their life. So do not be cautious of Uranus. Yes, changes must come, but you must understand you have to live with those changes. So again, don't burn the bridges that you don't need to burn. Just because you don't want to work at a particular place, you don't need to curse everybody out. And just leave. That's it. You don't be dramatic like that. You are a grown-up person. Or if you could not live with your wife no more, with your husband, okay, the same thing. You don't need to make a scene out of it. You don't need to involve the whole the crowd all around you into this. Just file for divorce and then move on with your life. So remember this, with Pluto, again, you do not fight it. So there's no negotiation with Pluto. If Pluto wants to change something, Pluto will change it. So just go with Pluto. Do not change. Be cautious with Uranus. Again, don't. I know you want uh to big something. Uranus is very explosive kind of. But again, do you really need this? I mean, this time will pass, and then what? In 2 years, you will be looking like, oh my God, what did I do? And don't get carried away with Neptune. This is also important. Neptune can play with your mind a little bit, especially when it's squaring. So you see, when it's squaring, it gives squaring in oppositions. They're given this this kind of uneasy feeling, it's like not comfortable. And that's why, so Neptune, when Neptune is giving you this uneasy feeling, don't know that, okay, so I have my Neptune is squared by transit in Neptune. I know that I'm supposed to have this kind of thoughts. I know that I'm supposed to be doubting everybody and everything and myself, to start with, but it will pass. Let me see what I can change, what beliefs are not serving me no more. I can get rid of them, but I know that it's not like forever and ever. That it will pass, and and I will get back to my life. So do not get carried away, because some people do. Some people start like getting some kind of sects, start like going to some kind of retreats, and just getting trying to look for some kind of purpose. It's never bad, but again, like limit yourself. Don't sacrifice everything in your life just because right now you have this existential crisis. It's because your beliefs and opinions are changing. You see, this is somewhat important, because again, as I said, Neptune is a quiet planet. It drags you. Neptune is like somewhat like a clean swamp, but sometimes you won't be able to get out of that swamp again. Like the do not allow it to get carried away. Question yourself, but don't um, do not suddenly, like, I knew this woman, and at one point she wanted to go to the monastery. She wanted to become a nun. I didn't know at that time. So who knows? Maybe she had this, because she's older than me. I think she's like older, 15 or 14 years, and I was still working my previous career, and this would happen. She was just talking about this all the time, and I'm like, why would you? You're beautiful, you're young. She just wanted to. You see, if she would do that, oh, where is the? She didn't do it, but she was talking about this. She went to research some monasteries. She went to a couple countries where she wanted to stay. Um, I don't know. Maybe it was a good thing, or maybe not. But right now she's married, so I guess I guess it was good that she didn't do it. But what if she would? What if she would go to the monastery? What if she would commit herself to that life, and then what? And you could not just change your mind and, and leave. I mean, you can, but that's not really how it's done, right? In the monastery. So again, if you want to try the life in the monastery, I think they usually allow you to spend some time there before you will commit. So why not to go? And actually had a colleague who went to monastery and stayed there for like 2 weeks, because he had some personal crisis. So why not to do that? But again, be careful with commitments, like that. Let the time pass first before you will commit. Do not get carried away with Neptune. And remember that you are here to develop, not to endure. If you don't develop, you don't need to be here. So this is important. If you do not develop, then your existence here is not needed. I don't want to be negative, I'm the most optimistic. But remember, if you do not develop, then why are you here? You need to develop. You need to develop. And if you think, okay, then I will develop as I want to develop, I'm going to do what I want to do. No, it doesn't work like this. You need to develop according to your North Node. So your North Node is where you are developing toward to. Observer, I always tell you about North Node. It's important. Your whole life is based on your North Node. You see, like me, I lost my father very early because my North Node is in Taurus. Taurus is about creating security for yourself, by yourself, not anybody else. It's about security, and I'm the one who needs to create it for myself. So even when I was a little kid, I lost my father because my father is the one who's responsible for security, you see. So I had to create that security for myself. You see, my whole life was built around it. Then I left my country and came to United States by myself again created security here for myself, you see. And the like my whole life is around this creating security for myself kind of. And if I'm not doing it, if I'm hoping for somebody, for something to create it for me, I'm basically not moving in the right direction. I have to move in the right direction. Now, if my North Node, let's say, would be in Gemini, um, my my bigger purpose would be to be more social, to be more open to communication. So if my North Node is in Gemini, then my South Node is in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is more about like a freedom, vision, you know, something like more kind of independence. Gemini, on the other hand, is more about community, about like connecting to people. So you see, I couldn't have been focusing on myself, and my focus needs to be on focusing on community, on bringing people together. You see, so you need to, you know, it's hard to kind of to move from one to another, because, or for example, if your South Node is in Cancer, you're more like emotional, you're thinking, you're, you know, you're not like you're more into feelings. Than your North Node is in Capricorn. Capricorn is stricter. You know, you need to take kind of an accountability for your life. You need to start like you need to assess your accomplishments, your life, take the responsibility for failures, for successes, and decide, okay, so can it last like this, or do I need to finally make some changes? You know, like you really, or for example, if your South Node is in Pisces and your North Node is in, oh, vice versa, let's do vice versa. So your South Node is in Virgo and your North Node is in Pisces, then Virgo is all practical, all about, you know, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need, you know, so I need to do this for people to kind of to love me and accept me. And the Pisces is more about kind of inner reflection, self-love, and all that. So you would need to go from earning love from others to getting that from yourself, to be more within yourself. So you see, it is important to remember that and to move with the flow that you came here. Remember, we all chose our own path to develop before we even came to this existence. So since we're here, we already chose it. Why not to follow the path that we map out for ourselves, you know? And the planets here, the energy around us is helping us. Planets are basically, like, I would say, like little lights that are helping us to find that path. You know, if you don't see, they like helpers, you know, and it's very unwise not to use them. You should use them, and I obviously use them as well. So they help you. Do not just get too much into this. You still have to live. You know, you can't be sitting and waiting for something if you are not living. So all these changes are coming to people who are living. You know, if you are never leaving your room, then what kind of changes there could be? All right, that's it. Let me sum it up really fast. So today we're talking about the midlife crisis. I wouldn't call it crisis. I would call it a turning point. A turning point that everybody will have. Why is it called like this? Because it's usually happening around the like 40s, within like 40s to 50s usually. And it's connected to three planets. So the planets are Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. Those planets are influencing us when they are squaring or making an opposition to our natal placements of the same planets. So it's Pluto squaring Pluto, Neptune squaring Neptune, and Uranus making an opposition to our natal Uranus. Now, it usually comes in the same time or around the same time, and it's usually long periods of time, so it could not be ignored, you see. If it maybe would happen for like 1 week, okay, so fine, you know, you can ignore it. But when it's 2 years or 3 years, you can't ignore it no more. You know, you at one point you'll be like, okay, fine, you won. You know, let's change. Let's do something. I could not live this like this any longer. So remember that this midlife crisis happens usually. So it will happen for everybody. It will affect everybody differently depending on whether they were successful with their previous kind of with their previous turning points. And those points were 28, 30. That's when the Saturn return, when you finally have to take the responsibility. This is when you could not blame nobody. That's it. Life is yours. You're grown up, you're mature, you have to move on. You know, yes, your parents couldn't give you something. That's sounds like your problem now, not any longer parents, you know. and this is when you get in your first results for what you did in your 20s, in your youth, in your 20s. If you never finish school and you decide that that's it, I'm just going to be, that this is when you reap the rewards, right? I don't say that going to school is important for everybody. I honestly, I don't know. Sometimes I regret that I get my higher education, but because I never used it, and I only had to pay back the loan, so it doesn't make any sense. All right, and then the second one is, but again, I took the responsibility, my choice, my responsibility, and then the second one is 36, 38 years old. This is crucial one. This is where you need to turn right. You need to make sure that you're on the right path. How do you know you're on the right path? Your life is improving, um Maria, oh, you didn't know we had the time change. And so the 36, 38 is very important time, very important. You would need to make sure that you choose the right path, and that you choose the right path when your life is getting better and you feel good about your choices. You're never scared, you're never anxious. That means that you chose right. And then if the first crisis was right, the second crisis was right, then your midlife would be just like, okay, maybe you will be doubting something, maybe you will be questioning things in your life, in your country, maybe in your home, in your relationships, but it will just it will be like very mild. Now, if you made wrong choices there, then your life will probably then the changes will be big during this time. So that's it. Again, what I want to mention when you're going through this crisis. I mean, I have quite a few friends who went through this, and I mean, they're absolutely fine. I went through mine as well. I mean, I still have the Uranus somewhere lingering, but it's needed. It's needed. From what I saw from my friends, I mean, they like it was a good thing for them. Yes, it was maybe hard at times, but they all are in a better position right now because they were able to. Maybe I gave them strengths, or maybe somebody else gave them strengths. Maybe they had enough strengths, but they're in a much better position right now than they were before this. So these changes are important. It's harder to make changes when you're kind of settled, but sometimes you do need to. You could not be sitting in your uncomfortable position forever and ever. You need to make changes. Just observe and listen to yourself. Do not listen to the society. Listen to yourself. What is important? Nobody has the same path as you do. How do they know what is important for you? Only you and your natal chart can tell what is important for you. Nobody else. Maybe your astrology. You can come. I will look at your natal chart. Maybe maybe I can tell you a little bit, but that's it. You could not do not listen to them. Listen to yourself. This is important. Don't look at everybody. Choose you. If you will choose you, you will see everything will fall into places. Everything fall into places, and you will do right. Okay, so that's it. Again, Pluto is like a dramatic change. So it's full transformation. Neptune is usually a dissolving of any kind of illusions, dreams, and Uranus is awakening, some kind of awakening. This is how it's usually considered. Usually, it's all happening in your 40s. Make sure that pay attention to the few degrees before and after. This is when it's like all starts. Remember, those planets move slow, so it's usually a few years process. It doesn't happen overnight, so you wouldn't be able just to shake it off. Like the moon changes every 2 days. So maybe like today is Moon in Scorpio. Okay, maybe for some reason it's a heavy placement. I heard that. Not for me, I guess, because I have a lot of Scorpio placements, but tomorrow it's going to be in Sagittarius, and we will feel much more optimistic than today. So again, you see, but Pluto doesn't move as fast. Neptune doesn't move as fast, and definitely, and the Uranus also doesn't move fast. So you won't be able to shake off that feeling. It will stay, and it will stay, and it will push you to change something, and you will have to change. And it's better if you will change it. Then remember, you still have its midlife crisis, so you still have another like half a life to live. So make sure that you will live it good, faithful to yourself, not to some kind of beliefs that does not serve you any longer. So make sure, take the right turn. Do not fight Pluto, do not get crazy with Neptune, and do not and be careful with Uranus. And that's it. Go crisis. This kind of crises are very important in life. Don't be afraid of changes. They must happen. Go with the change, and they remember that if you're not here to develop, then you don't need to be here. And this is what it is. All right, so that's it. I hope it was useful. It was very useful for me, as I said, because I was observing myself, and I realized that something is changing, and I couldn't understand why is it changing out of like suddenly like that. Like one day I was just like, okay, enough is enough. This has to change. That has to change, and I was unapologetic about the changes. Like there was no going back. And I was really firm with my changes that I was making, and I couldn't understand where all this sudden power, sudden urge to change was coming. Where is this kind of strength and was coming? Because again, I have a lot of water, so I'm not as decisive as you would want me to be. So I couldn't understand where it is. Now I know it was squaring Pluto, squaring my natal Pluto, and again, it's in Scorpio, so it's pretty strong. So I'm grateful, really. I'm grateful, because how long more I would tolerate those things that did not work for me no longer. So that was it. Again, Neptune was a little crazy, I wouldn't lie. Some things we just were just not right. But I'm grateful as well. As I said, I started questioning a lot of things in my life, a lot of and that was Neptune, and we'll see about Uranus. So again, I'm grateful, and as I said, from my life, from my experience, I almost don't know kind of bad results after people had their midlife crisis. Usually, it's quite the opposite. Usually, those people who take the change, who are brave enough to change something, who went with the change, usually they live. Those people live much better right now. From like yesterday, I was kind of getting my thoughts together, and I was thinking about relatives, like friends of my parents, even a couple of my cousins. I was observing, I was like looking through their life. I don't know where their notes are. I don't know anything, but I'm thinking about when they were in their 40s, what were the changes? Did they make any changes? And how was their life? Was it bad or not? And I really could tell you that those people who took the change, who went through with the change, their lives are better now. Even my friends, I have friends who are a little older than me, like a few years. Most of them, they did took change. I could say 3 of them did some changes, and I could say, a helper with that, without me even knowing. I pushed them into change, and they're living much better right now. So again, do not be afraid of that. Do not be afraid if the changes come, and take the change. Don't hold on to something that outlived and doesn't serve you any purpose. All right, that's it. Again, my lovely ladies, happy Women's Day to all of you. We're powerful. Remember this. It's important, and not only powerful social wise. I want you to know that energetically we're very, very powerful, much more powerful than a man. And if you will open that strength, that energy inside of you, you could be really limitless. Masculinity is strong as long as the body is strong. As long as they can do some actions. Femininity is strong as long as the energy is there. So if you can hold the energy, if you can constantly raise that energy within you, you can be really limitless. So remember that. This is important. Also, I wanted to mention that Venus moved into Aries. Here we go. This is a very kind of strong, not the best position for Venus, but when it's there, Venus in Aries is really strong. It's like, okay, I don't need nobody. I'm going to do everything myself. I'm going to get the money. I'm going to get the man. It's so funny because Mars is in Pisces. That's a weak placement for Mars for masculinity, but Venus is taking charge right now. So we all ladies are more confident right now, confident and strong. And I hope you're feeling it, and I hope you're enjoying this time. All right, that's it. I think we're going to finish. Oh, one more thing I want to mention. So I got this question a few weeks back. I had the video on diet and routine of a Reiki master. I was telling you about what I eat, and somebody asked me, because I didn't mention anything about vegetables, and somebody asked me, "Well, Anastasia, don't you eat any vegetables at all?" So I'm sorry if that was the confusion. I do eat. That's the majority of what I eat. I always eat vegetables with something. I don't eat the fruits, but I eat berries, fruits sometimes, and vegetables. I eat a lot of vegetables, like root vegetables, beets, carrots, potatoes, radishes. And so I do eat a lot of I wanted to answer this question, because two people asked me that, and I'm like, what? Why would you get this kind of? I do eat a lot of grains as well, not much animal protein, because that I could not. All right, so that's it. I hope it made clear. I hope it's clear now. I hope I inspired you on your midlife crisis. If you went through it, or if you're going to go through it, please do not be afraid of it. Um, do not be afraid of this turning point. It's never bad, And I will tell you, we're going through this kind of turning points all the time. Every time we go through something, our hormones change a little bit, but we go through it like every few years. So it's not like a big deal. You just, as I said, it's just a perception that we have in the society. So do not be afraid of it. Go with it. It probably will. It's like an outside helper's coming over and like, okay, Anastasia, you didn't do it. Let's do it all together. Let's just be done with that. So welcome it, kind of welcome, and be happy with that. I'm happy, honestly. I didn't even know I was going through these changes. Because again, I didn't know that it was connected to these planets. I knew that Pluto is squaring my Pluto, but I didn't know that it will affect me like that. You see. And I didn't even pay attention to Neptune at all until I heard that video of that astrologer I told you about. And that made a lot of sense. I'm like, yeah. And then I started researching, I started reading more, and I'm like, yeah, it does make sense. So I wanted to tell you, so you wouldn't feel like you're going crazy, like what's happening? Like, I feel like this, for the last year, I feel like I don't care. I'm changing, it's going to change. And like, a lot of things that I was doing for me were like, that's fine. I don't care. Like, I feel like there is strength that it's like almost like outside world gives me that strength. So do not be afraid of that. Go with it. Go and trust the process. And you will see it will turn out fine. It will. I could. And remember, if you are not changing, so to know how whether you're changing right or wrong, your life, so your lifestyle will either become better or worse. This is important. So especially if you didn't make the right changes when you were 36, 38, you should see now, like I'm seeing right now that I did make a couple turns wrong. I need to fix them. I did, So again, you will see, you will know whether it's a right choice or not right choice. You will feel better. You will feel stronger. You will feel it. It's not, you could not miss it. It's like you married the wrong guy, and like, why did I marry him? It's like, it's not really. So you will know. You will know. You will feel it, and you will know. All right, that's it. If there are no questions, let's go listen to this video again. I'm telling you, observe. Look at your natal chart. Look where those placements are. These are the houses that will be developed. So the houses where your Neptune, your Pluto, and your Uranus are. These are the houses that will be shaken the most. So these are the houses that you need to pay attention to, and better start fixing them right now if you are not close to that point yet. Now, any planets that are sitting close by will be affected too. So again, watch where they are. Look at your north node. Where is your north node? Work with that. So see whether you are moving towards your north node, whether you are at least making some kind of attempts to move there. And the life will give you opportunities, will give you chances to move in the right direction. All right, that's it. Bye, TikTok. Thank you for being here with me. And thank you, YouTube. Let me know if you have questions, if you want me to help you to find where you will be, where in your natal chart the planets are, and which areas will be kind of changed. I can help you with that, but it's very easy, and remember, square is the 90-degree angle. The opposition is opposition. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So look at that. Look at the houses. Look at the signs, and you will have your answers. And when the changes are coming, do not fight them. Go with them. All right, that's it. Bye, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday.